I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Keshe.
Sorry, she just told me something and pushed the press out. Good afternoon, good morning. Sorry to jump in.
Hello.
Hi. I was explaining something to Caroline. She says, they have to know, and she just pushed the button, so she came in. That's as usual as Caroline. Sorry about this. She was telling me about the Tesla factory. We were expecting the Tesla factory to be hit much heavier because the owner made a claim and they wanted to shut him down. And we will see this. Anybody opposes the position will get hit. We announced about Tesla about a week ago because the owner filed a case for damages for whatever it was. And so they blocked him, they hit him. This is a very mafia situation now we're getting to know. Anybody makes a complaint, anyone doesn't comply with Bill Gates' agenda of, vaccination, they hit them or their family. And this was expected. So when you speak about these things, we are very open about it. We go much open, further open in next, more or less in the next few days. We have received the ratification and the confirmation of our move internationally. And we'll come back to maybe even by next week or the following week that Keshe Foundation teams around the world, you become what it is, how we're going to stop this situation. And be expected that they're going to hit you very hard. We have seen drone flown up near our people. We have seen all sorts of things. So, can you put the light on, please? I can't see. So you will see these kind of things coming up, and just keep vigilant. Anyone at the moment, it has become it's a big mafia situation. Bill Gates has opened a mafia structure, literally a mafia structure. And nobody knows how he's managed to do this. This is another theft on him. He made a complaint last week, 10 days ago, if you go in the press, regarding the Tesla and that his damages. And I said they're going to get a hit him. We put a cover on it, and it's been hit. No one can oppose this mafia ring. Literally, it's a mafia thing. Even the African head of states are deliberately infected. Deliberately infected. And we see this right across now the second cycle. This is what we see. This is what we call World Health Organization, which is his proxy. And there are a number of warrants are coming for his arrest internationally. And he'll be arrested at site with one citation. And once they get him, it's very much, I was explaining to one of the world leaders a couple of days ago, he is targeted exactly like what we call Alan Sterling situation. Once he's captured, the rest will squeak. And what he's done and the way he's done it. And we saw the move in the Italian parliament. There are a number of moves around the world for bringing this mafia structure out. It's not him anymore. He has set up a massive multi-billion structure. There is a talk that even there is no confirmation. The way it was spread in Italy was spread by mafias who are aligned with him. He has gone into with Italian mafias in Sicily, according to the report which is coming out in the national securities. This is how bad it has got. And you know, we don't speak till we have documentation, confirmation. And it looks like this is why Italy was so hit so bad. He has organized himself, he's aligned himself with the mafias, the health organization, and they're all going to collect their loot at the end of it. But what I said, when there is less people, what loot you have got to collect, you got less to collect. But don't do that. Take all this off. And this is what we see, and we try to organize certain ways, but it seems, and so there's certain reality to it, that he has linked up with the Italian mafias. And this is why we see every country, they deliver the way they do it and the way they want to do it. Because they had to do the Italy because they control 16% of the economy. And with this, they control 100% of it afterwards. They've been given that. He has gone to every criminal to get what he wants. And the warrants for his execution, what they call it, his arrest, for executing his arrest to be enforced, is now circling around the world. But if he issued, and they do, he can be arrested. The head of the World Health Organization now is a prime target to be arrested by the sound what we see. So you got to, we are very outspoken, we have no problem with doing it, but they target. Now they target who they want to contaminate. And this is now has become literally open mafia structure. They used to do shooting and killing people. Now they have gone into this game, and it looks like Gates has lined himself with the mafias and drug traffickers. He's done every criminal person we know, we see a connection with him. He's become a gangster, literally what we call Al Capone. And we will expose him with documentation in the coming weeks. So, as I said to the officials, keep all quiet, do not move till we wind him up. And he moved from Microsoft for Microsoft not to be touched, but Microsoft is fully involved in this program too. So nationalization of assets of the Microsoft across the world for damages is prime because it was happened during his time. There was a claim that they said, oh, what do you call it? They've done things on the G5 masks and everything else. And I asked a couple of people in the foundation to check in the background of it. And then we came out, we saw a detail came out internally from our management team. We checked it. This Corona CoV-19, which they saw on the G5, is a quotation from series of microchip sets. It's nothing to do with Corona. There's nothing to do with Corona. And it's all quotations. It's been there for a long time. Series packing, it just happened to be coincidentally on it. These are coded transistor sets. So you got to be very careful in how you put things and what we see. But primarily, especially in North America, you will see they are literally locking down cities by cities. The mafias are working. And he's gone to mafias, and according to what they deliver for him, they get a share. He was associated. You see what he did in America? He went to, as you know, I said it before, to the guy who got hung in New York, the pedophile guy. What's his name? Epstein. He has had a lot of connections with Epstein, a lot of connections. It cannot be you don't meet somebody like this who's so like this. And there was a question raised that he was a pedophile and he went there for young girls. But when we see people with him in each meeting with Epstein, shows an economical pattern. And you don't take a pedophile to your head of what you call a scientific organization. If you look at the picture of Epstein, Bill Gates, and his head of his scientific development, and then the ex-national security, what they call finance treasury of the United States, it brings a raise. We start questioning, we start asking. This scientific guy who's with Gates is how to tap and how to monitor the rich people in US across the world who Epstein gave young girls to. This was the reason. And initially there was a rumor that what the Clinton group hung him or whatever. Apparently it was done by Gates Foundation. We don't make allegation because he had too much information who he has taken the videos from them. He has mafia structured inside Microsoft, hacking everyone. And he has a scientific attaché to make sure how they hack the customers, the elite people. You see, what we see, girls as young as 12 and 13 have been shared by top guys. And he has videoed them, and Gates has all the files. When he finished his job, he was disposed of. It's much more to Gates than anything else. Much, much more. So we watch, we monitor, but we're adding up a huge dossier on him. And you will see step by step. He is writing the speeches for WHO. He writes the speeches for several world leaders. They don't do, they lose their children, their wives, and everything else. And he doesn't do it. He's already given the job to the mafias in Italy. They already have shared the loot because what it looks, Rothschilds have a little bit to do with it. Illuminati's had, but he used them to get what he wants, and then he touched them. He thinks he's become powerful enough to carry this, and we see a lot of movement in that way. He has become a terrorist, literally a terrorist, and we will see how the governments will do. Watch the people who oppose him in the media. Watch them, what happened in the next few weeks, how they disappear, how they get corona and everything else. He has become a head of biggest criminal organization. And he's paid with billions. He has paid with billions, he's bought, and anybody who, he has used people to a limit. When he's used them, finished with them. We're trying to look at a connection between him directly and Sterling. He has a connection. He has a connection with Sterling, which we did not look at the file when we submitted it, the file, the Ford dossier to the FBI. We are reviewing all the, what do you call, Sterling file. Allen was taken for full dossier. FBI had 1,000 pages, Keshe Foundation delivered 10,000 pages of documentation. And now we are gathering structure on Gate. And it seems that he has literally set up a mafia gang. Him and his wife are becoming, as we saw in Italy, parliament and few other governments, and 500,000 plus in US. somebody has to put a petition in US that not only that, he's become an organized crime. So be careful, and if you speak to people, be very careful. They are literally rooting in a lot of places. And Tesla, the minute we saw it, we put vigil on it, and we were expecting it, and we've been told they've been hit because it was not in their program. If you looked at news in detail in some countries, you'll see the Keshe Foundation negotiation with world leaders has already started in the background. You see the news, but you don't understand it. But we are on our way. Very slowly, we've done our job. Our proposals is fully being ratified, signed, has moved on, and we go our way. But at the same time, we're keeping eye on the movement of the Gates mafia organizations and Gates Foundation and how it's financed mafias. And he's entered criminal world in a very big way. Very, very big way. He is not an innocent boy who you see, this is the way I always say, somebody should have stopped him when he stole from Apple. He became rich from stealing and he carried on stealing, and now he's stealing humanity. And it's not going to be this way. Definitely it's not going to be this way. And now he's gone in bed with criminals. He's financing South American drug traffickers to spread the corona. To him, South Americans and the Africans and Indians are all the same. There are too many, should not be. It's not that we're getting report from Paraguay or Argentina or somewhere else. There's such a horrendous things going on, the same in Africa and India, because to him, anything but his color should not be. He's become the second Hitler. We open a lot of things on this file very soon. And what we see, those who are in it have made one decision what to do with it. Then you most probably, if it goes, you will see it very fast. But the stupid thing is that he has in some ways the others are, they start becoming more powerful because they deliver it now, they think he's becoming irrelevant. That's the worst part of it. This is the opportunity, he created the opportunity. Now what we see in some files, he is become, what do you call it, dispensable. Him, his wife, and the totality of his, whoever gets his hand on his assets. Because they didn't think they can pull such a thing out. And as usual with these kind of situations, when the underneath comes and delivers, they think we done it ourselves, why can't we take it ourselves? And in past few days, we have seen him become dispensable. And the opposition you saw in the Italian parliament was set up by those who think he's indispensable. So you should have understood how come Italy started so direct in. And we done some work in the background, and exactly sits where they want him. He's not used anymore. He brought what they wanted. Don't forget, if you go back to 2011, 2012, in the parliamentary of Italy, Keshe Foundation was discussed on the floor of the parliament. And then he went to the subcommittees. And this is how actually partially how we ended up in Italy, through the Italian members of parliament. In Italy, you don't get discussed given such a space, asking such a move if was not ratified by mafia. We should have given you the indication. This is what I keep on telling to Keshe Foundation supporters. Listen to the news, but look at the news, understand the news. They have made the first steps to show him we're taking over, we're going to get you, or you give us what we want. And he's not prepared to give it. And you know what happens usually in these cases? Accidentally, a lot of accidents will happen. Mafia has drawn their line last week in Italy. It is the way they started it, and they didn't think it was going to be so successful. And now they think they have achieved it, they don't need it. So if you will see how, and depends how much he gives, that he can stay alive from now on. What he gives dictates how long he's going to stay alive. It's become dispensable. And what we see, this is going to be much, much bigger than what you thought. They expanded it and they extended it. And we try to, with the Keshe Foundation, bring the situation under control in the coming weeks. And then the only solution to decontaminate the planet Earth is through cooperation with the universal community in exchange for peace. The technology to do such a big job, clean up from the trees to plants to atmosphere, only stays with the universal community and their knowledge. So humanity has no choice. You want a clean planet. This is a virus, is a well-known, what I call bread and butter for the, what we call universal community, the knowledge they have, and we'll enforce peace that way if it comes to. There is no choice left if it comes to it. And when we do, we will see the next step. And you always know, I lay things out weeks and months ahead. The way we see contamination in shops, on floors, in airports, and the rest cannot be done by cancers and things. We can save lives, but at the end, the knowledge from beyond the boundary of this planet has to come in to clean this mess up. It's too big a mess. And in a way, you need to desanitize the whole planet, and the conditions for it is very simple. We see it that way, and we set the structure that way. You have left no choice. The second wave, which is coming in Iran, in China, we don't have facilities. I've banned Iranian teams today to travel in Iran. We've always been there to rescue. We've always been there to safeguard. The new wave is so bad, it's so dangerous, that I instructed the whole of the Keshe Foundation team grounded as of yesterday. Only within this team, their group can work. And we see next 7 days, we review the condition. And in China, it's getting worse. We start operating within the Keshe Foundation supporters within the city where the infection is getting worse. Nobody from outside can do. And we see it getting worse. They've lost control themselves too. And in a way, is pushing us, or we have been pushed by this stupidity, maybe coincidentally, to bring in what we said, unification in a different way. With gas production, you will see the way what we have built, how the Iranian government and the Iranian Keshe Foundation and the Keshe Foundation Corporation in Iran has set up the scene. And we can do a little bit of changes, not much, but we cannot clean up. We don't have the technology access to clean up the Amazons. We don't have the energy and the technology to cover the spans of the field in Africa. What we do will be a token samples, even we manage to get everybody saved with it, but we cannot take it out of the atmospheric condition. It's a different technology, it's a different know-how. And the know-how is within the hand of the universal community. They're on a standby. We can explain it in the near future. And you see a lot of people are posting a lot of past 3-4 weeks, reports on UFOs. There is not a reason. We are negotiating in so many ways to go that way because we don't see it. We haven't even seen this variation of it on the fish, on the animals in the jungles. You think that the lions don't get it? They die. We've seen it with our own animals. It's just in the cities and in the banks or in the hospitals. It's moving. It's moving into atmospheric conditions. So we don't have the knowledge. I was planning to bring this knowledge in. We spoke with Howard a year ago. We could see that there is a need for such a decontamination actually for agriculture. And now it's too late to do it. We don't have the knowledge and know-how. It's not been developed yet. We try to cover it with a new yellow fans, trying to bring some positions covering environments, but there's not enough knowledge seekers to do it, to cover it. And the best things as knowledge seekers you can do is spray around your building with GANS 1, GANS 2, and fill up these dynamic systems above your homes to cover, like create a wall. That's the only thing you can do. If you place the way you learn how to use the star formation, don't leave the open, put the buckets, coals, boxes, and put them around the house and put dynamic system that you literally create a curtain. There is a reason we put these things out. This thing flies. Whatever Corona has thrown at us up to now, we have changed it. We have standard it because we understand the knowledge behind it. But for common people, you have to do it. There is no other way. How many of you have been hit? We are not stopping. I was working till 8 o'clock this morning, all night, on 2 fronts. We have to bring the new structure of the Keshe Foundation in. We have to bring in the new souls which are responsible for this planet, and you got to train them lots, and then you have to bring them to understand their souls, how the 2 souls have to bring. I spend a lot of time trying to even train these 2 souls. It drains, and at the same time, We work with governments, continuously bringing things back. It's relentless. And the situation is there. And I put this very openly across to all the Keshe Foundation and all organizations. You have opportunity to change it. And sorry about this. God is calling for money. If any of you are churchgoers, it's time to pay. It's the collection time. So in so many ways, the bringing and training of these two souls of Ella and Magdalene is taking a lot of time. A lot of time. And even them, they have a problem to handle their own souls. And now they have to handle these coming forward later on. We don't play behind curtains. We play very open. And at the same time, it's difficult for the humanity to make this move. We don't have it. We do not have the process of the knowledge at the moment. There is a process, there is a way, and in some ways, when you, what you call, go in, somebody's microphone is open. Somebody's cooking. I hope it's not the Italians again.
No.
And you will see the whole situation. This is the only way you can do it. Some of you can reach it, and most probably some of you have tried, is to use your soul to go on a different dimension and link up. This is what I said. Link as many magras and dynamic units around the world. You reach it, you can do. But primarily, we don't have over a certain limit. We haven't placed these kind of systems above 5,000 meter high to cover the whole planet, 10,000 meter high. We haven't put these in satellites that can cover. So in a way, we can only rely on a man of deep space to position satellites to bring that coverage for the humanity. But there is a price to pay. And mankind has to pay the price. Put all arms down, destroy all arms, agree on a world peace, change the man's humanity, and love and care. And even trying to explain how to love and care is hard for humanity. Everything has a condition. And they don't understand. Even as I try to teach more and more, the more I realize this society is too backward. Then you'll go, this is traveling right across everywhere. We can open a few hospitals, maybe a couple of nations. What about the corona which is in jungles? What about the corona which is in little villages? What about the corona which sits in the deep ocean which is entered? You wait. If any of you remember foot and mouth disease, if any of you remember mad cow disease, that slaughtering the animals in Europe, if you remember the pig flu, people will stop eating it. If you go back to the salmonella scare in 1980s in British, that nobody touched the chicken and nobody touched any eggs and nobody touched any pigs, then you see how we start structuring ourselves not to eat animals. Do we have to go that way? I have battled trying to, what you call, bring some sanity even into our two members of the, what they call the two souls of the Keshe Foundation at the moment. I find it easier to deal with the world leaders than these two ladies. They're not hard, but they don't understand. They don't understand the function of soul and humanity and its dimensions. Now we try to explain to you the time I spent teaching these two and bringing it that they guide humanity on the onward move, not to lie to your souls, to be open to receive, not to lie to your physicality, trying to be what you call understanding the total structure. We haven't even started on those, but we're in this position. And we now ganged up with a bunch of mafias and the rest of it. Now, as Universal Council members, you missed a big ball, and I mentioned it a few 2-3 weeks ago in one of the teachings, and they just couldn't, people don't understand. You elevated the soul of the world leaders to achieve peace. Now you have to elevate the soul of the mafias. That's how bad your problem is. You got to realize exactly where you sit. And people tell me, why do you say this? You cannot say this in public. Why do you say, I love this or I adore this? Because mankind has to learn to live open. And we don't let no one take us to ransom. Not for 7 billion and not for the rest of the universal community, just 1 or 2 people doesn't suit. So you can resign any time from Universal Council. It means the soul is not there. Or as I said, the soul knows when the term is over. And these teachings are becoming more and more relevant to the time and the place. If you put your dynamic system, what we put out, and the other things that you can do, if you can raise a tree, that you create an atmosphere for it. If you can just stop there, what we saw in, what do you call it, Caribbean with, what's his name?
Tom Salas.
Tom Salas. Don't you think you can create that barrier for what you call the corona? How many of you made the move to do that? None.
Hello, Mr. Keshe. I know I'm speaking out of turn here. This is Mario in Bangkok. I know I'm speaking out of turn. I don't have
so
a
don't
right.
speak. If you think it's out of turn, don't speak. But if it's in turn, speak.
Well, I'm here, so I guess I'm in turn. I understand. I don't think you're wasting the time. I think if I can understand this, others can understand this.
We can understand it. We know what we've done to ourselves. We know what we've done to this planet.
Yeah,
We are not blind to it.
Yeah, the pessimism, I think if I get it, the others will get it. I think that I just went on Facebook. I can't believe the Americans. I'm like appalled at how brainwashed they are. And I'm like linking. And I don't even mention Keshe Foundation because they're not ready for it. And I brought it up and I pointed out. And then a number of people like reacted to it. I couldn't believe it. They were like positive, where it's like wearing face masks and this and that. And I brought you up, an Iranian physicist, you know, your blocks and the rest of it. And I couldn't believe there is something else happening. And if I can understand it, I know the others can understand it.
I watched a program past 24 hours. I was just running through it, and this blonde, blue-eyed, white, 1 meter 80 plus woman, stunningly beautiful. She says, "I am from United States, and I don't know where Australia is, but I know it's somewhere out there." And I thought, what? You're supposed to be American and bright, and you don't know where Australia is? There is a country called Australia, but I don't know where it is. I thought, you call yourself Americans, educated, and you don't know where Australia is? So I think we put Americans in a bracket, majority of them, worse than the Africans.
Yeah.
I always used to say to my children, I said, you can dress a monkey, but you cannot change the monkey.
But I think of them as victims. The victims.
No, they're not victims. They victimized.
They're victimized
They're
and willing
not,
to go along. I
they're
know.
victimized. They're not victims, actually. They're not victims.
Yeah. How do you get to them?
We don't need that. Only listen. There is a very big. I keep on explaining it. China and Russia, China and India together make round about just about 3 billion people. Maybe statistically up and down 3.5 billion. Yeah. Total population of this planet is 7.8 billion, breaking to 8 billion very soon. Americans are less than 5% of this planet population. Why do we get ourselves involved with this bunch of bandits? The concentration has to stay on the rest of humanity. You will see America will become very soon, not very soon, it already becomes irrelevant, except Bill Gates, which has done this, because America was America because of the atrocities they've done around the world by killing. And now nobody has money to spend. And now their arms, their technology worth not what they call themselves a dime. No nation has the money to buy arms. Because look, everybody's locked up. Do you see any wars? Everybody locked up. Have they crossed the borders? Has there been a war? Except where the Americans are killing? The only place now Americans are killing is Syria. That's all they're doing. And a total population of 375 million cannot take 8 billion to ransom with what they've done. And now you will see the change. No nation is prepared to invest in arms, especially if this recession, this situation goes more and more. Just 1 second, please.
If there's a way to have the universal community to do this for us, that would be the easiest way.
Yes, they're here. Pardon?
I said, if there's a way to have the universal community do this, that would be the easiest way. Because a lot of other ignorance.
Non-interference.
Yeah, I think that's my point. Okay, it's a percentage of the population, but they are humans. They are members of the universal community if they don't know it. And this world martial law is worldwide. It's not America, it's Canada, it's everywhere. The Rothschilds have taken over here. The Rockefeller Rothschild medical martial law is affecting everybody. Virus affects a certain percentage, and we know the solution for this. But the martial law, I'm not sure what to do about this. know I can create answers. I know I can create a reactor that will stretch miles and feed people. I need more help with that. I'm alone in Bangkok here. I can create a feeding reactor I know can feed up to thousands of meters, at least maybe kilometers. I can stretch that. I can get somebody else to put another set of reactors. I can feed them. But how do I get to the rest of the whole world? This is going to be a problem, isn't it? We're going to have millions and millions of people. In Thailand, there's like 3,000 confirmed cases. It's irrelevant, but 3,000 coronaviruses and I think 100 people dead or 300 people dead. There's more than that many people who have committed suicide because their business collapsed. That's the beginning. So I know you mentioned this years ago, turmoil. It's going to be turmoil is the way you put it. We're in the turmoil now. It's not even started yet. The turmoil is coming. I feel obligated to help the suffering of others. For me, I don't care. Me, my soul will take care of me. I'm okay. But what about all the others? They don't know, so they're going to suffer. I have to do something about it. American or not, Thailand or not, you know?
Yeah, but the situation is that we have to, what do you call it, deliver technologies and deliver in so many ways the understanding of the whole lot that we can bring that situation into position. We cannot stop, and we cannot go backwards. We are in it. It's too late.
So as a member of the universal community, do I just sit and watch? Let it play out?
The problem is how much of it do we watch, and what can we do, and how much can we take it further. And what there is not much we can do except at the moment is what I call, you know, the you know, when you go into warfare and you go into house to house, hand to hand fight, yeah, we are in that state. Humanity at the moment is hand to hand, house to house. This is what it is. What are we doing? We are fighting it house to house, each one of us on our own. Each one of us, whatever we have as knowledge, we are sitting there and doing it. And what else we are doing? We're not doing anything else. We have become literally, is what you look at it, all of us, we are fighting in hand to hand, house to house. Commandos, we have become our own savior. It's become, before we used to have a guns and protect our property and protect our children and our families. Now that what you're doing with the guns. No, the game hasn't changed. This is a warfare, house-to-house warfare. And those who don't know, they lose. How many have lost today between US, America, and Africa, and the rest of it? You're fighting 1-to-1. Yeah, some of us at the moment, the enemy hasn't turned up. This is the reality of it. If you want to twist it and turn it, that's what you end up in. And if you go one step further, is what you call last man standing. We have here, how many of you battling it at home? Is there a hospital? Is there somebody else who can do? How much you have suffered, and how many of you managed to get hold of it, control it, but you still have problems with it? We still do. We still get hit. It's like everybody else, because it mutates. You don't know where the next sniper sits. You move from the living room to the kitchen, and the sniper moves to the living room with different shotgun, with different accuracy. That's all it is, if you put it black and white on the table.
Mr. Keshe, this is Alex again. We have a problem with the meatpacking plants, not only in Canada, but in the United States, because the workers have been hit. And one of the questions that was put forward last week is, what's happening to the supervisors?
To what?
To the supervisors, the administrators of these meatpacking plants. I mean, they work at the meatpacking plants just like the workers do. So it would only stand to reason if some of the workers have the virus, that the owners of the plants or the managers of the plant would also have that. Well, as of yesterday, in Canada here, we have 40 meat inspectors who have the virus. And the question is, how are we going to get these meat inspectors into the plant? And what are the ramifications? Very simply, no meat inspector, no meat.
The thing is, let me tell you something. I've signed some papers which was sealed by the Keshe Foundation, head of the Keshe Foundation, a few days ago, and was sealed by the Iranian authorities 2 days ago. What we tell you is not something we're going to do. As you know, the head of the Keshe Foundation, European Keshe, a worldwide operation, except China, carries all the documents and all the whatever we do. This paper was signed by the officials of the Iranian government yesterday. Today was taken to another section to be ratified today or tomorrow. And once we get that ratification, then we move to the third stages of it by Friday, hopefully, maybe earlier. Then we have, then we enter negotiation with governments. And when we enter a negotiation government, people like you go in with a solid documents, with solid process. The biggest problem is we put a condition on doing such a thing. We exchange for peace. And part of the condition soon will move in for rounding up these people who brought these conditions on. Arrest of the King of Belgium, arrest of the Bill Gates, arrest of the Rothschild group, arrest of the rest of it. These are the conditions, because we set up a peace which, to set it up, you have to get rid of those who've been the instigator of the whole problem. The extent of the monarchies in this is unbelievable. Now they see themselves to become world monarchy. and Bill Gates as their prime minister. You cannot, don't tell me I don't understand or I have something about the Belgians. No, we see how monarchies have become and structured themselves. So people like you, Alex and John in the United States, and people who are key people around the foundation we trust, we'll start with you through you negotiate with your governments. Through Keshe Foundation, through the way we know it will be. We don't tell you what we have, we don't put it that way, but we give you a broad inspection. Now we're in that move. Now we are in that situation. Now we can deliver.
But you have to fight through this.
Not this way. No, this doesn't go this way. We know how to play. We are not going to tell you what we're going to do, but primarily people who are trusted, closely trusted by the Keshe Foundation, we start moving with them. We tell them what we do. And as I said to the head of the Keshe Foundation, she'll be like a shadow with me. She has to learn.
So
she has to learn.
It has to happen on government level. Cannot.
Of course, we cannot go any other way.
Okay,
you see, in some islands they opened up the things, and Corona has tripled in less than a week.
Yeah.
They opened up Iran and trying to relax. Now we hit so bad. China now is worse condition. Germany and Europe is going. This was a cycle of only Corona for lungs. Now Corona for heart, brain, stroke, hemorrhages, amputations. I'm fighting every day with different doctors in Iran not to amputate, and when I show them, they just puzzled. I saved a woman of a 50-year-old hand because the doctors decided to amputate from the wrist because the fingers are all gone black. It took me 4 hours just recently. And I did another one. There is another one somewhere else. Coincidentally, why does it happen to people around 50? Today we are battling with 48 hours with a woman, oxygen level of 46, 52. And the doctors can't believe it. Miracle comes out to 85, 90. They said this is impossible. The new technology delivers. But instead of going and doing it hospital by hospital, the way we've gone, we now will be given carte blanche to every hospital. We go in, we have authority to come in. We don't listen to the government officials. We don't need to listen because it's been ratified by the health authorities. We don't need to work like commandos, how do we get one plant opened up, one hospital? We got to make it a national policy. And it'll come 4 weeks, 6 weeks, it will be there. And the biggest problem they have is what they plan to rob us with the pharmaceutical vaccination becomes irrelevant. We have a new arsenals in the Keshe Foundation structure of the health that make vaccination obsolete. Absolute obsolete. We don't need to vaccinate anymore. Not even our children from any other processes. Because what do we do in the space? How do we vaccinate? Well, every minute we see a new energy pack, a new virus. My biggest, as I said to the head of the Keshe Foundation, my biggest problem at the moment is her, to get her through. But the Corona for me is on one side, and her, the two heads of the Keshe Foundation on the other side, because this is what the balance will come.
Yeah, but this is a big part of the martial law thing. Is that
no? There is no such a thing. You can change. We as humans, we got to reach the point that you see, it's our own stupidity. Apple comes, we all buy Apple. and then Apple becomes the god, and then Microsoft comes, the Microsoft becomes the god, and everything else. If we learn what they bring for us cannot change our life, but they're facilitator of comfort. We don't let these things to become controllers. This is where the change will come.
But the Americans are, well, okay, that's a.
They don't care. This is what I'm trying to explain to you. America has become totally irrelevant. Americans are absolutely become irrelevant. This is what will take you to understand. We don't consider America as even a speck of dust in the structure which is to come.
Yeah, but I have a lot of family and friends there, and I'm personally connected. So,
yeah, nothing is going to happen to them. It's just that what we talk American policy will become irrelevant, not American people.
Okay.
It's a big difference. We talk about a structure. Yeah. American politics, a bankrupt structure cannot lean by force of gun policy. And that policy is gone, so is gone the American force. In the new structure, we consider absolute influence of United States at zero. Actually, we consider them as negative.
Wow, okay.
So
I'm just concerned about people, you know. I mean, there are people, there are souls, you know.
Of course. I had this battle with a woman you keep on talking to. I had Caroline and Elia Kosova weeks on top of me, bashing me and crying and shouting, and nights till 3, 4, or 5 o'clock discussion on the kitchen table that you cannot just save a few, you have to save all the children, and this cannot be, and the rest of it. You think I haven't had the preview of it? I had. Oh, battles I had with Caroline, day in, day out. You cannot just save a few, you have to save all the children and all that are innocent and the rest of it. Don't worry, you lot, I get enough of these women around me, all of them.
Sorry to be a woman here.
I had battles for weeks with Caroline and Elia Kostova on the kitchen floor. They thought we just coming to save a few. And it was every discussion, you have to save everyone. We said, we don't work when we come, when we do, is for the totality of even the dust on the floor, which is life.
So what can I do? What can I do?
You will see the way things will come. The way will come, it'll be very easy. Very easy for us. We have to understand and we have to be able to understand more. As we read, it's a beautiful thing I've just seen coming on. He says from Ike, he says, I give my soul to the two heads of the foundation for them to take and get the knowledge quickly to help humanity. They have the process of their own evolution of their soul. And as the two heads, they are the two sides of the same. And in so many ways, they fulfill part of the process of what we call unification. But in so many ways, we all come into it. For the first time, as I said, I become more outspoken because we see what is sitting around us, what is about to come. We become a force to be reckoned by individuals in their home. In what it means, we bring the knowledge home. how to protect ourselves. What is planned in the plan, even in Iran, we have a battles. It's not so easy. It's taken us months of negotiation. We battle for every word into thing. You will see the things which are getting done to come out, sitting with everything else. And once started in Iran, then the other nations will jump in no time. And it's the job of you knowledge seekers here around the world who've been there. You'll find out people come to you. You know about it. Teach us. Put television program. We cannot speak all the languages, but you can, as a citizen of your own nation who speak English, who've been around the teacher. Okay, the Iranian team has a lot of things set up, done, but how are you going to do it yourself? You've seen the pictures from Sudan, walking and spraying in the desert. We have reached everywhere, but now it comes, as I said, house to house, hand to hand, literally defending our own territories, our own children, our own houses. There's nobody to defend you. The Americans buy guns and we buy guns. They go and shoot, we spray. But at the same time, you have to change the mentality, the philosophy, the hunger, the settlement of old score and new score.
Mr. Keshe.
Yes.
Rafael is here from Brazil. And for those people who weren't at the meeting on Friday night, there were some really unbelievable testimonials there. I just want to draw one attention there. There was one lady, her name was Railda. A week before, she made a presentation. She was making kits, and she showed a video on how she was making all the kits, and she showed a table with all the paraphernalia that is needed to make these kits. And we stopped the session so that we could all take screenshots of that so that we can show people this is what it takes. She followed up on Friday with a presentation that was breathtaking. She has, in summary, I call it, sent 4 arrows into the heart of the medical beast. She has broken through into 4 hospitals there, not through the nurses, not through the doctors, through the cleaning staff. She got through to the cleaning staff because as she was there and she was frustrated that she couldn't get to some of her friends who were sick, she'd seen the cleaning staff going around and they were spraying, and she said, oh, you know, why don't you spray this? And they did. And she got success with one, and from one, because the cleaning staff can communicate with each other, they don't have the barriers. She is now penetrated into 4 hospitals. And so what she's doing literally is she's cleaning up the hospitals of the virus without having to make any fanfare. And Rafael is here. I don't know if he wants to say anything, but I just wanted to let you know, because this is what they're doing on the grassroots level. This is one of the reasons that Brazil is so awesome.
Yeah, but the thing is, we have this all over the world. In Iran, nurses are making the gases at night at home, and they give us the list of their patients who are critical. We advise them, and in their bag, they take the gases and putting the hospital right in the emergency unit. And it's got to the point that the doctors have noticed these nurses, when they're in, the patients are recovering, and they start asking them in 4 or 5 hospitals now. And the nurses, they said, this is what they said, you do. We've seen you what you do. We don't want to get involved, but patients dying are walking out alive. We've seen it. It's not, in Brazil, that's a fantastic way to do it. But
well, we've got nobody doing it in North America.
In North America, the ignorance sits on the CNN. You just got to watch and see how many members of the CNN news broadcast people drop dead, and then people start believing there is a corona.
Yeah, but okay, I have to come in here again, and Mr. Keshe, do we need the GANS materials? Is soul to soul.
Man's soul elevation has not reached that point yet. This is the problem. You know, it's like a cooking. You have to make it ready to be there. We try to show you the cup of man. I have a battle with head of Keshe Foundation trying to get her soul to work the way it should, but still resistance attaching to physicality. Either way, and if these people are at that level and we have this battle, God help us with the rest.
Yeah, I see this with the
It is part of doing it, is attachment to physicality and balancing everything with a physical condition and logically connecting it to it, because there is no logic to connect anything in the dimension of the soul to physicality, and justifying it gets it worse. So you have to play the game. And how many of you have realized I remember when we used to go around Rome with Caroline 2, 3, 4 years ago when our children used to come. And Caroline used to walk around with a bottle of Ganses in every fountain in Rome. She would spread some Ganses. Oh, we spread the link. Okay, we spread the link in a fountain in Rome. We covered whatever. Somebody else has to go and do it again. But how do you get to the top of the high buildings? How do you transfer things? This thing is not anymore in one dimension. It flies, it takes life, it goes everywhere. You find it on a 100th floor as you find it in 10th floor in the basement. We're carrying it.
Yeah, but I understand this. So why can't I transfer that knowledge to everybody else?
Humanity is not ready for it. They build that block themselves in their structure of life. This is the problem. You have made so much blockage. To unblock this blockage, it'll take you centuries. You build an immune system towards these things to accept anything which is to do, and religions haven't helped it.
The resistance.
You know, have a look outside. Go, today is a Sunday. I mean, North America, you still have daytime. Go and see how many people with the corona are still going to church and getting infected.
Yeah.
Why are the churches open? You talk about the meat production factory. How come people are still going to churches on Sunday? They know they come out with an infection.
So our blockage of the infection is part of the problem.
No. The problem is that man has not learned to free his soul. This is the problem. And he's been taken so much from it that he's lost the trust in himself. I tried to teach many people for so many years. As I said, I was explaining in another teaching to what do you call it, to the head of Keshe Foundation. People stand in front of me naked. You cannot believe but I still play the game. You think I didn't know what's happening in Italy? Of course, but there's a reason for these souls doing what they do. I know who instigated it. I was there when it happened. My soul was there when they were doing it, and I could see it, who planned it. And I kept quiet for 3-4 years.
And you had to suffer for this.
I don't suffer. I just don't like the suffering. Do you know how many people lost their jobs with the foundation because of the Italian and Ghana? How many people went into hardship because of it? Because we invested millions in it. And I thought, I'll leave it, they look after it, and it'll support. But on the other hand, where the souls were supposed to learn something from this, they came to this position to be. Betrayal of the foundation comes from inside the foundation.
Yeah.
These people have a job to do while they are there. Huh? they have a job to, they have a purpose.
So it's not the suffering itself, it's that things have to manifest the way they have to manifest.
Yes, it's the what I say, the soul have agreed already to be in that position.
Oh,
So
okay.
this is the first thing you gotta learn. You see the physicality, but the souls is like magnets, huh? You put your finger on the magnet and you move it. That's you moving your physicality of the thing. But if you look, all the magnets on the table are spread, move for that little move. You understand?
Yes.
So who moves that magnet? Who moves that magnet? That all other magnets have to move from their position. How many of them don't want to be in that position? In the position they've been moved to. So
Well,
this magnet is your soul. This magnet is your soul. Mankind has not learned this one. Physicality is to move that magnet in the position that it creates comfort for the rest.
So that we need to accommodate as opposed
No, you're far away from it. We don't need to accommodate. We have to receive and give that the others don't move if they don't want to.
Yeah, that's the point.
No, it's not accommodation. It's not accommodation. It's my decision to make this move, and I take whatever that, if you're happy to be in your home in whatever you are, and I decide to bomb it, so I bomb it because I decided to bomb it. This is what the Americans done. Yeah? Did any of you come and say we are bombing this house with terrorists in it? All the people around move out that we don't damage other people? No. I saw a video in past 2-3 days which gave me a very good insight of how I have to handle with the Americans. I wipe the Americans out in a way that the mentality does not exist. You know, in some societies we need zombies. We need American zombies.
I think you already have those. They're already zombies.
No, they need to be more zombies.
Oh.
If you understand. Because if you look at it, this mentality of killing and destroying and all shooting has found its way into the games of the children. Now the new generation, murder, killing, destroying has become normality. I was watching my son playing a game. I pause it. I tell him I don't like to play this game, but it's the only thing with this lockdown. He's being at it or whatever. And I went to Stanley, and Stanley sent me a video. And I never watch videos. It's 28 minutes of it. And I watched it. I watched it again. And the pictures was not much important. The voices in the background showing the structure of the mentality and behavior was more important. Then I called Stanley back and having a chat with him. And in so many ways shows how what you call Americans see life of people as a computer game. That's the bottom line. Our lives doesn't matter. It's just press a button, you kill it on the screen, doesn't matter if it's life or not. And now they're turning and teaching our new generation to be that. Killing has no meaning, so I kill now, I don't care if it's on the life behind it. What I see, which will come up, will be there, any computer game which has got violence has to be wiped out, and those who made it has to spend a life prison sentence in solitary. Very soon, we get hands on these computer programmers, I'll put them in their life solitary in their own soul. Because they're making millions out of it.
Yeah, but that's an old game, isn't it?
No, it is not at all. They have found a new way to make violence normal.
Well, yeah. That's
Yeah.
fair.
This is a difference. Huh? This is a big difference.
The propaganda thing, yeah.
Not a propaganda. It's making a mindset, so it's killing us easy.
Yeah.
We had enough problem. You know what the Romans did? The Romans' mothers, they planned to have a son, for the son to become a servant to Rome, that the Rome will become, what do you call it, an empire. That's what it was, the pattern of Italian. They made the Italian think, you give a soldier to the emperor, you know, that was it. It was like paying taxes.
Yeah, that's the same
So
process.
now we are doing the same thing with our children.
Yeah, the same thing, exactly. But they're victims, aren't they? We're all
No,
victims.
we allow them to become victims.
We allow that, yes.
We allow them to become victims, and it's our job to stop.
How? How can I?
Leave it to me. Leave it to me. I know how. Leave it to me. And as I said to the heads of the Keshe Foundations, a new birth, new mentality, a new cycle has to start on this planet. And we are, the problem is the new birth of mentality, a new cycle of life has to start. And that cycle will change the mankind over in what I said in the grain. Earth is not the only place with a problem. As I said in another teaching, we have problem right across this universe in different shapes and forms. And this is not that it's the only red hot spot. We have a lot of hotter spots than this. You don't know where the people who have moved this stupidity of whatever into the soul level. You're finding it in a physical battle at the moment. So everything has to be moved one level up. And you're trying to bring one which is, what do you call it, using a donkey now to tell them, to show them there is a spaceship. And the human are the ones who are on donkey in respect to their understanding of their soul. And a bunch of those who are in rocket propulsion and everything in the soul level, that are doing some damages too. So we want to raise everybody to a spaceship that every soul, nobody gets damaged, hurt. There is no hierarchy, there is a balance. And this has to come through a new birth, new understanding in the society, a new cycle of motion. That the vibration of it passes all universes and converts everything. People don't understand what is going on. There is a purpose and the reason we are here.
This is the earth hatching. Is that the right way to think of it? The earth is an egg that's hatching.
But it's a very good chicken. It's a very good greenhouse. That's always said. Always. And earth is not the only greenhouse.
It's a hatchery.
Yeah, we need hatcheries of souls. That's what souls are on the physical dimension.
So we're hatching, and there's the pain of birth. Is that it?
Hatcheries are different ways, huh?
So our hatchery, because
We
of...
are not a hatchery. I call it a greenhouse with beautiful flowers. It is not a mass production because we allow it to show its beauty. And now, why do we choose the earth for it? Because it's a beautiful place. Earth is one of the most beautiful places in the world, in the universe, because of its diversity. It's the diversity of, forget about the buildings humans are stuck up, which is nothing compared to totality. When you look at I was explaining, the Chinese took me to see where the movie Avatar is made. And when you go through this area of China, you don't want to leave. You see so much beauty of the rest of the planet. When you go into the jungles of Africa, it's the same. When you go and see the scenery in Siberia, I don't know how many of you have been to see the barrenlands of Siberia. It's so gorgeous. I spent so much time in Siberia. But every part of this planet has a beauty. When you go to the desert and you sleep one night in the desert and you wake up wet and you see animals and life lives, it has a beauty. We don't have this if you look, the rest of the universe is a vertical rotation. To get this diversity, the angle the Earth is, created diversity of atmosphere, diversity of life, and with it the rest needs some correction. And Earth is not the only place who's been a little tilted. Wherever it's tilted, we have tilted mentality.
So is that a problem? Or
In most of the places, it's not a problem, but on Earth, it has become a problem. I don't know why.
Oh.
If we knew, but Earth is a beautiful place. I said that too many times. What was it again? It says it's a very expensive real estate. Who was it saying that? It says you come here.
It is a real estate.
Yeah, it says it's a very. Oh, Elia Kostova. She was telling us this is a real estate. You come here to take. I say we have better places than the dust of the earth.
But the souls, all of the souls, the mosquitoes, the rats.
Of course.
They all are beautiful, yeah?
But they have, according to the strength, they find their position.
Yeah. And we're all stealing at this point because of the habit of man.
It's not a man, it's fish is the same. Huh?
The same.
The lion is the same.
Yeah, okay. We have an imbalance. So we need to bring a balance. Is that right?
No, we are raising the level beyond that position. This is what the teachings are. This is what the technology we developed is.
Raising
you see, put it this way. I put it in a very nice way to one of the two ladies of the foundation. It's like you put the fruit in the fridge and you expect the fridge to keep the fruit fresh. Yeah? And coincidentally, you put it on 0 or on half. Still, the fridge still works, but the temperature, the coolness is not enough to overcome the bacteria in the fridge that they don't grow. And then you see things in the fridge are not working. Things are. Sorry about what I call the symphony of Topoli. This is him. Then you see everything is getting infested. Fruits are rotting faster. You don't go and throw the fridge away. You just turn it up. You change the environment to 2 degrees, 3, Mark 2, Mark 3, and everything stays good. This is what we're going to do with Earth. We're not changing the fridge. We're just bringing a level that things don't rot.
Using the gas materials and the reactors and whatever.
This is how we got you to play, exactly.
Okay, I get it.
So we play the game your way. And now we try to raise the level of the souls to a certain level. And for those souls to be raised and to be held needs certain conditions, certain things. You cannot just put everything on the floor and say, okay, nothing rots. You have to bring the fridge in. You have to create a condition of the cool. You have to bring the knowledge to be able to do it. And that's why we started. Man's mentality is so primitive, it's so easy to change. Because we know.
Sorry to dominate. I don't mean to. And I'm maybe totally wrong. But I understand a certain level of this, level of my intelligence, but I'm not able to transfer that to the others.
You don't need to. The thing is, there are 2 ways to do it. You can sit and talk with the lady, go and clean the hospitals, or we get the nurses just to teach, because once they leave the hospital, they don't know what is against, what it is, what is the purpose of it. Yeah? Back outside and the same animal behavior. Or we do it the way we do it. We bring and raise in a coming time, teach the whole world we need to move and how we move. Yeah?
Wait, you have to do the whole world in one go.
No, then you're gonna get sick.
Yeah.
If you do it too fast, we had it beautifully this week. I said to the doctors that do not go for the patient in one go to open up. And the stupid doctor went and opened the body, which I told him doesn't need, it needs time. And they nearly killed the patient. And I said, you don't understand the work of the plasma technology. And you're still going in, but it's our protocol. I said, your protocol was the body was dead. You gave it to me, now it's got 85% oxygen. Doesn't work with your protocol, does it?
So
We changed the protocol.
we have to little by little change the protocol. Yeah.
Yep.
Add
And the way to it, you see, the condition has been made for people to accept the new technology. You have to look at it that way. We have put the Heads of Foundation in it to do it because I want to step down in so many ways. I'm tired. I had enough. And most of the work is done. And we have given a lot of love and care to bring humanity up to where it is. And now the easy run to what I call maintenance and service can start. And this is a phase we are in.
But you still have Rockefeller Rothschild.
Pardon?
You still have this Rothschild Rockefeller gangster.
Oh, they are not our problem.
No?
No, we let them think they are, not are we?
They are controlling the martial law thing, right?
No, that's your thinking. They control nothing. They control their soul. But it has to be, you got to understand. You got to understand the game has changed, but you have to understand how to go through the transition. That's the biggest problem.
Yeah, please.
As I said, I have a battle with the people who are so enlightened head of. You don't understand how enlightened these two heads of the Keshe Foundation are. They have an amazing soul. That's why they were chosen. Even we have battle with them, let alone those who think they are. We just don't choose to, and we just didn't bring these just to be suddenly there. Their souls, they're the way they've been chosen over hundreds of years, thousands of years. It's not coincidental they sit there. But still, we have to take those dimensions out of them.
Mr. Keshe.
Yes.
Are we waiting then still for the first souls of humanity to raise to a certain level that they can then communicate to the rest of us?
More or less. And the two have chosen to be done. And then everything else is coming to that level. This is, people think this is a child play. You see, you wish the peace, you got the peace. You wished a lot of things, you received it. We started with the Togo, we started with other parts. As you see in the Universal Council members, they are just gaining confidence. We can do. But it needed time, it needed the structure, and we create the condition to be in a positive way, but we saw Corona made it much easier for us. Now the conversion to people to accept the new technology with the Corona, it'll be rocket technology. You will see it. I can see it because it's fundamentally, as I said before, I've done the physical teaching you as a nuclear physicist body, how it'll go, because I am a nuclear physicist, you believe, you're done, you made the gases, you saw the agriculture. Now we brought it to the level of the soul. I teach more soul, and from it we make the children of the soul and the physicality children to follow the direction of peace. And now it gets handed over to those who are to nourish women. This is why we chose women, to nourish this new cycle. Didn't you have the Muhammad and Christ and the rest of it? We gave it to the men, they created more killing. Now we give it to the women. And if you listen to what I've said, even as long as 15 years ago, it's recorded. The next cycle of prophets will be in the level of women. But this time we don't create prophets. We create those who care as mothers for the rest of the, what we call universal community. So we still kept to our word. It still comes from women. And to place this soul for past 15 years has been a battle for me, especially about 10, 12 years. And they have to understand it. They have to nourish it. And as we said, it goes through the line of women because they know how to nourish, they know how to love, they know how to create. And when you have a perfect examples, the rest will follow. Does not matter where you go. And the dimension goes both through physicality and the soul. You have to create a new cycle of beings on a physical dimension anywhere in the universe. They don't kill when they are in physicality. You don't stay perfect just because you're in the soul level. You have to stay perfect when you're in the physical level. So we need a new life, new generation of birth that carries perfection. And people don't understand these things. It's like what do you call it? The Iranians, the Iranian government officials tell me a few days ago, Mr. Keshe, can you please, when it comes to Farsi, don't speak so much about the soul and the God. People are not ready for it. And in Iran, I said I teach internationally, so cut out my Farsi teaching. Don't let. But you are. I said the problem is now in the Farsi teaching, everybody wants to speak about the soul. How come the government tells me don't speak? Country is not ready for it. Maybe the country is too ready for it, and they won't have a position. Because I didn't go in the teaching last week, and I asked the head of the Keshe Foundation to be present. And she just reads English, or she could translate what it was in Farsi to English. I says, why do these people only talk about the egg and the sperm? Aren't you supposed not to speak about these things in Farsi? Because they moved into the soul level. And this is what the society is moving. Nobody can dictate, and people are there to be enlightened in any shape or form. You know, we have brought restrictions, and we have accepted conditions, not our souls. And in so many ways, as I explained, we are the lovers, we are the teachers, we are the companions. And at the same time, we bring the level of understanding of love. And if mankind understands that, then we move on. And then we have to be all teachers for our own souls. And this is the problem a lot of you will face, humanity will face. When you start putting the teaching on the corona, about the gases and how you can get rid of corona, how many people will play the fingers to see what is more about the Keshe Foundation teaching? How many millions will move in to see what is the soul? What are the soul teachings? We won't be interested in teaching of 191. They're interested in teaching of 329. So we are preparing things. To you is a lot of things just going on, but there's a structure to it. And as I said, a lot of you before, we are so structured that when it comes out, to you is normality. I put deliberately, I gave the, what do you call it, the video of the Derek in the opening of the, what do you call it, Keshe Foundation Center. It was the first time we opened a center as a Keshe Foundation in Belgium. And he stood there. And if you look at his memorial, which we played 2 or 3 weeks ago, this is part of the video of his presentation, because everything in foundation is recorded. And Rick picked up, and if you look at it in 2011, 2012, when we opened the Nino, where he speaks, everything was set out. We agreed on how we're going to do the education system, the wiki, how we're going to do the internet programming, the Facebook programs, everything what he was explaining. And when it was explained there, it was already 2 or 3 years worked on. We were heading in that direction. And now you say, oh, we have a wiki. And then you see how it's going to be, how the other side goes. It's not that we accidentally came and was there. The souls come and they do it. The structure comes and we just say yes, because we know it's already set there, set in the souls, and the physicality delivers. Nothing is coincidental you have in the foundation. Everything is structured to the point. And beauty of it is, I don't structure it. My soul, my wish happens because it's there to happen in the totality. And the souls who are delivered, they come in a certain way, certain time, deliver it, and then disappear. It's very much, you work for an international company. How many of you stay all your life in the same company? You go in, you develop it, you help it to development to go further, and you move on to the next company. And this is what happens. There's no difference between us. And in the process, we see a lot of things. We learn a lot of things. And this is the next step with it. My biggest battle at the moment is training these 2 ladies. And it takes more energy than it takes running the whole of the Keshe Foundation, all the works in the background at the moment. And there's nothing we can do, because if this time we get the foundation wrong, the whole thing will go wrong again. Explaining line by line, emotion, understanding the future, the standing of now. Because once they are transferred the know-how, the knowledge of the universe, they should know how to handle it. We don't want to make a mistake this time. At the same time, putting everything right is part of it. And physical teaching and the soul teaching with these 2 is literally draining. It needs time, otherwise we get it wrong again.
Mr. Keshe, the problem is, as you've said many times, is our continued attachment to physicality, correct?
You see, we have to be detached from physicality, but from the needs of physicality. We need the physical life to live. But we have to be detached from his needs, and through the soul, teach it not to abuse. Yes. Physical life is gorgeous, but why do you need to abuse it?
What I'm wondering is if that proper arrangement is, do we just need to come to appreciate the beauty and experience the beauty of the soul more, so that the physical attachment can be put in its right perspective?
More or less. You're not far wrong. It's just, when do you need to manifest yourself in physicality? And the time you manifest your physicality, you don't do anything wrong.
And that will come from our experiential and the way we experience our soul more. When we see that, we'll understand how that perspective of the physicality
In a way, yes, we have to start trusting our soul as the feeder, not as somebody we feed. This is where everything has changed. I was explaining to this very recently. None of the things, I'll bring it up in one of the teachings. I was teaching this to the head of Keshe Foundation recently. None of the things they have told you about Adam and Eve has a dust of reality to it. There was never an Adam, there was never an Eve. And the life did not start with Adam. The only time life started with Adam, when the male part of this planet realized these women cannot get pregnant without us, so we control the birth. Because up to that time, it was magic. They could create, we couldn't. So they ran everything. When the man, human being, realized, without my sperm, there is no babies, so I become in charge. So the real Eve became the Adam. Man didn't create Eve out of the rib, out of his cage, because he was closest. I explained this to, because when I release the knowledge to one, it has to be heard by all. So when we release the knowledge to the heads of the Keshe Foundation, in time, the rest of the families, the rest of the humanity has to hear. And when we release the knowledge, knowledge is equal. And if you go back, only everything which is, you look at it, you transfer the knowledge, you see how much lies you have come to believe, and they put it in what? The Old Testament, the biggest lying book in the world. Who gave life? Where did life come from? From a womb of a woman. What did you produce? A child. Now that child became the apple. Man changed everything to say man is in power, the same as the Europeans wrote the book of the Second World War, not the truth, whether it fits them to show they are glorified. They didn't write about their own atrocities and killing. So if you go back that way, the origin of life is Eve. It's a female. It's Mitra. Because she could give life. And with it, she could nourish. She doesn't give birth and throw it on the floor. She takes it to her bosom. She guides it. She teaches it what to eat, what not to eat. Isn't that the responsibility of the soul of the man for the physicality? But the man has changed the physicality to take over it, engage it. Go to all the teachings. I always said the physicality of the man is a leash on the soul. What does a leash do? Allows the body to eat, but it takes what it needs to confirm me exist. There never been an Adam. What a rubbish we accepted. How could an Adam give life and make a woman? It's a glorification of man for his what we call short penis.
Okay, but there's also...
It's very hard for you as a man to accept, isn't it? Okay.
Yeah, I'm a man. I'm gonna... But it's hard for me to accept, but there's a...
It's not hard to accept. How can a man create? Be logical. Hard to accept? You have too much pride. This is the problem we have with Bill Gates too.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the fact. But there was it doesn't make sense. How many apples, how many, can I have part of your ribs, please? See if I can make it to a woman or a child.
Rather than not give up my ribs at this point.
Rather at the moment, you better keep it. But the fact is, the creation came through female.
But there's also the interaction of the fields.
Yes, but we can explain all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why you men are so poor? You're not. You changed it because you realize suddenly without me cannot be. But when it was given to you, we got all this mess. Because you got nothing else to do. The woman put you on the field to go and hunt and keep you busy while I'm nourishing the child.
Yeah, to go out hunting and killing and the rest. Of
Yeah.
Yeah.
She
But-
gathered the souls, and you men went to arrow it.
But there is the division of the neutron and the interaction of the fields.
Yes, the fields are there. Of course they interact. I cannot live with it if you don't go hunting, can I?
Nah. Well, that's at
Yeah.
the matter level, but at the energy level, at the universal level, there's an interaction of the fields. So it's not male, female, or the hunter and the female, whatever you want to call it. There's the interaction of the fields and the balancing of those. Isn't that the way it's supposed to be?
Yeah, I think the fields will meet. The fields has to meet, but it meets on the balance of itself. Still charging.
Yeah, so there always has to be a balancing. It's a balance, finding the interaction where they balance. So there's an equality. No male, female, just yin yang. Isn't that right?
I don't know what you understand.
The interaction of the fields at every level, except at this physicality level where we've got the 30% larger males that go on hunting and the rest of that. There's no male, female, there's yin yang. There's a taking and receiving or giving and a balancing and a manifestation of an entity there. It's got that field strength. It's not good or bad or higher or lower. It's just where it is. Isn't that right? Balance is the equality in the universe.
I'm going to ask a question. And this is only targeted to women here. I'm going for you, female. Are you there? Especially those outspoken ladies in this group, like Elizabeth and the others, which are always there to make their comments. How do you feel that they have put such a big lie on you for centuries, that human race was made of a rib of an atom, but in fact, it's all to do with women? How do you think the betrayal you've been done to for centuries and now you know the truth? Or have you been brainwashed enough, says, oh, is it? Maybe. Have you seen a man giving life?
May I? Sorry, Mr. Keshe, but
Yeah.
you know I am. Can you hear me okay? This is Elizabeth.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think we have always known because that's what traumatized us. But that's my position. From the moment I was born, I knew this was not right. It could not be.
So why did you let the man write this thing down?
Because we are so traumatized. We are learned at a very, very young age. Step out of line and this is what you get. It's endemic in all females. And it's something that when we try to
How do you feel you've been lied to from the first words you listened?
it didn't make
You see, I said I come here to adore the beauty and enjoy the beauty of this physicality. This is one of the first questions Caroline asked. Why do you come here? I said, because we come here to enjoy the beauty. And when you enjoy beauty, it doesn't just come with the flowers. It comes every flower with different smell, be it a woman, be it a plant, be it a fish, anything of it. So why have human race, especially the females who are known the creators, unless you've been battered and bashed to accept, have accepted such an amount?
We've been, I'll keep my mic shut, sorry, but we have been battered psychologically, culturally, our entire birth even. You know, it
You know,
can happen.
I want to tell you something very maybe irrelevant, but funny way.
Okay.
My brother is born on a woman's free day in Iran. And we used to always tell him, you should have been born as a woman. So are we born in a day to be a woman, or are we allowed to every day to be a woman? And this is the big question.
Well, I'll tell you, Mr. Keshe, when you explained to us, I hope I got this right, and you explained that the soul cup of the cup of man was the female and the cup of physicality was the male, it made so much sense to me. Oh my goodness, it was like, ah, okay. So that may help a lot of people to understand that.
But isn't there that the soul is the feeder, the nourisher, and isn't that the position of the woman? Because it nourishes from inside, it doesn't go hunt and bring.
I don't think I really understood the position. We are nurturers.
You see, we are nurtured when we are in the womb of the mother. Doesn't matter where the father goes, hunts, sleeps on the street, or whatever. It doesn't make any difference. The nourishing of the child inside the womb of the mother doesn't stop because what the father is doing, yeah, because he's done his job and he's gone. So, as isn't the soul of the human being a soul of being a female, a nourisher who's got to feed the physicality?
Well, the thing was the dynamics in my parents' relationship was quite different. She was the hunter and he was the feeder because they immigrated to Canada. They were poor. It was right after the war. And so my mother's dynamics when she was carrying me were very stressed out, as probably many, many children born from parents who went through the war. So I now know how much that affects the fetus as well, the baby, the child. So I would
So
say
that was happened to the fetus and the child. It's like this planet is in the wrong place and wrong way, so it's bringing the wrong children in emotion.
absolutely.
And that's why we are here to correct it. But it's the whole object and subject is what happens to the soul who is actually the feeder of the physicality. And the physicality has allowed it to cover it for the 10-20% brings in. It's like the bottom guy who does nothing a little bit and he pushes to be the head of the company. Doesn't work that way. We still get, if you look at it, if you listen to all the teaching, this is running out of battery. If you listen to the most of the teaching, what do we say? 80% of the food of the 64% of the nourishment of the body of the man comes from environment. But who pulls this in? The soul does. So the real feeder is the soul, and the human body for that 20% takes all the credit. I live. And what does it happen? The soul takes and goes, and the physical you see if without me you can live with 20%. What does it have? We call it death.
I just replied to the call to all women, to Outspoken, and there are many here, so I'll let other women explain their perception, but mine really does come from it never made sense, except once I joined the Keshe Foundation and understood the science as fields. I still sometimes have difficulty because I have a very challenging time to bring up the issue of female-male relationships with most males, not with any female, but with most males. It always gets aggressive and assertive. And
yeah, because they believe the lie of the Adam and Eve.
I know.
It's the same. You see, the example of it is, what have we done and how much we've done for the Foundation for Humanity. we have saved at least a couple of million lives in Iraq. And didn't the Belgium take us to court and say who we are and it's all fraud? And they watched it with they even took a Wikipedia if the guy is wise, writing books and he's got scientific papers and everything else going around it. They changed it to suit them. Curse on that nation and blood that's caused so much death. You think also away with what they've done? If the technology would have been open the way it was, we would have lost so much. People go on in it, they believe it, they do it, and they save it. Belgians, every single blood of them will pay for animosity and what they've done to us. I make sure of that. He wants food. He wants his thing. Here he wants food. So how it's going to be and what's going to be. Yeah. This is the way it is and the way it shall be. So how much do you want to accept? What do you want to accept? And why have you allowed it to happen? Or do I have to fight for you women? Or put everything right?
But you've taught us how to fix it. You've taught us how to amplify the adenoplasma science.
So you have a very good adversary called me.
Adversary? You're not in my, you're never, well, adversary. I don't think of you as an adversary. I think of you as someone who's really been trying so hard to make big changes on this planet and have met with all the same ones, energy fields that try to keep those of us that think differently down. And yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, just wanted to remind those of you who are recording this session, please send it back to the head of the Keshe Foundation to be kept as archive as part of the teaching when finished, because they are recording private, we're now recording it on a, what you call, cloud. Yeah, but the Libby is the way I watched you, and you went through the traumas we went, and then you changed your name from Libby to Elizabeth, everything else. So isn't that comes as part of the elevation of the totality?
Absolutely, it does.
So
I've made friends with
that part.
I beg your pardon?
I said you shouldn't be worried about that part. As we say in English, we look after you. We look after your back. You can carry on fighting.
Well, I'm trying to amplify all that you're teaching us outwards as far as I can with my soul and my words, and also have the cans of life ready for people if they want it. So I am grateful to you. I'm grateful to be here. And if I get attacked, I don't go for it. I think I've been attacked so often in my life. I might be, whatever the word might be, immune because I'm still here. And that for me is an amazing thing. And I believe it's because I am part of this family. So thank you.
You're welcome. It's not just this, it's just to understand that we are free people, even as a soul. And we got to understand that, we got to appreciate that. And don't leave our lives to be hijacked, our physicality to be hijacked by a bunch of people where the truth sits somewhere else in reality of the soul of the man.
Mr. Keshe?
Yeah.
I have a question for you. How can we live our lives with the soul, to learn about the soul? How can we have an alternate? Because we already grown up thinking about our physicality. This is how we do this stuff. We attack, we go towards our physical. But how can we do the same process that we are living on this earth? How can we use our soul as an alternate on our daily activities of daily living?
We got to learn. Even sometime the battle for me is not in one way. The battle's in so many ways, and you got to understand. I have to go and process my own physical life to fit the soul as well. Yeah. And what do we do? How can we do? What is the consequences of what we do? It's not just one thing or the other. It's a collection of things. I have to go to answer to Iranian officials. Sorry about that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Keshe.